Darby here, joined today with Rachel Coburn and Kelly Tenney, who are co-hosting the AI Summit. Giving you guys some latest info on what to expect for this upcoming summit, and what better way to bring the info to you than the two hosts themselves. So, Kelly and Rachel, let the people know what we got going on here at the Women with AI Summit.
All right. Well, I'll jump in and share kind of where the idea came from and so forth. And Darby, as you know, there were a handful of us at the Gen AI Summit back in February on Valentine's Day, and there were it was an amazing turnout. So many people kind of jumping in with how to use Jasper and wanting to be part of the AI conversation, and there were just not a lot of females that were in the room. And so, one of the things that I recognize, I think, is obviously when we're talking about things that have to do with technology, things that have to do with AI, there's a lot of male leaders in the industry that are coming together and sharing amazing things. But I also want to recognize as a female that sometimes that can be really intimidating. Sometimes it can feel, like it's hard to have your voice heard. And so, with all of that, I thought I should just have a summit that's just women, like women leaders and women that are doing great things in AI, and just kind of spotlight some of the females in the industry and create a safe space for other women who are just curious, who want to be part of the conversation. And so that thought turned into this summit that is happening next week. Darby, you put me in touch with Rachel, and Rachel was like, I'm in. I love it. I'm not sure she knew what she was getting into in terms of co-hosting a summit, but we've definitely had a lot of fun. And Rachel, I'd love to hear what kind of attracted you to wanting to be part of this also.
Like you said, it was my first day. I came on to the AI author as we're still trying to really figure it out, right, Darby? CGO, so Chief Growth Officer. And I was just so excited to be a part of an initiative like this, because I've always been for, helping or really just pushing the narrative of women in tech and just in general. And I have a really diverse background when it comes to marketing. To kind of give you all some insight, I was a programmatic media buyer for 6 years. Alongside that, I've done SEM, social. I've done kind of almost any kind of digital marketing you can think of, honestly. Even like Google PLA ads, I did that way back when. But I've always kind of had a hand in AI. Not a whole lot of people realize that a programmatic media buy, there's a lot of AI that goes into the back end of it, and it really is. A lot of it's machine learning. A lot of it is just algorithmic data coming through for buying purposes. But essentially, I've always had great females around me in that industry and in that space. And I realized, Darby actually mentioned that Molly was at Molly Mahoney, one of our speakers, she's amazing, was at the Gen AI was talking about, how she would love to have more of women's input, right, when it came to like this sort of, just speaking opportunity. And so I was just like, yeah, like, hell yeah, why not? And just so happened that you asked me a couple of days after that, actually, to be a part of this. I was like, okay, stars aligned. I have to be part of this. This is amazing. And it's been a wild ride. And I feel like, yeah, Kelly, you and I have done it in warp speed. I think we did this, 3 weeks ago? Like we haven't been months. It's been a month. Right. So I've been really appreciative of, you taking me under your wing and kind of, leading me on this wild ride. It's just been great.
What better initiation into a new job than to like jump in and put on an entire summit? And right. Darby can thank me later, because I know now you're getting a lot of other skills that can be used in the AI author. But yep. You mentioned Molly Mahoney, who again is one of our amazing speakers. She's also one of the sponsors, along with the AI author and the content, the AI content king. and she was one of the catapulting females, and she always has been, right? She's always the advocate for
Always.
diversity and being heard and things like that. And she posted a photo. We were talking at the summit. We were like, there's not a lot of women here. And a lot of the women that were there, I think honestly were sent by their male counterparts to go and like take notes and find out what this AI, thing is. I know a lot of women there weren't actually like actually using AI, but
Right.
she and I kind of had that conversation. I'm trying to find the picture that she posted. And they got a photo of her. Let me see if I can show it. They got a photo of her
Oh yeah.
in the front row of the Gen AI
Yep.
conference, and it's like her and a sea of males.
Yeah, you're right. I remember saying that. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's kind of a stark difference, isn't it? Yeah.
Totally, and
Interesting.
so I was like, "Hey, I had this idea," and she was like, "Do it."
Yeah.
And I ran with it. Like, I really want to recognize that, I think this is the first summit for females around AI, like, of its kind.
Mhm.
I'm hoping it's the first of many,
Yeah.
that will come, but you and I have had such a great chance to, have conversations. We've been having lots of interview conversations this
Love
week,
this.
but with like rock star women
Right.
who are using AI. And so I just, we're
You
getting,
know,
yeah.
yeah, it's so Darby and I were just running errands before we went on this live. And I was kind of sorry, oh my gosh, lunch got me. We I was just talking about, I have found it so interesting, and this is kind of, I guess, if you want to call it like a little teaser, right, for anyone who's going to be watching the speaker sessions, which I hope you do. Please go and register if you haven't done so yet. There's so many similarities when it comes down to, let's say if we're asking a question revolving around, like how has this helped your life? How has this helped your business? There's been so many similarities, but it's fascinating to me the fact that all the women and some kind of talked about how its business are really impacted in a positive, negative way, right? About how has affected their life. And I think that's one very interesting thing in the concept that, I'm not going to really get into that too much, but I find that usually talk about, how things affect their life alongside with business in the same conversation. And I think that's just a really cool, piece of information that I was expecting, but not necessarily expecting. There's just so many great pieces of information, advice that they gave, that I jotted down on my iPad, like so many suggestions of, how to really, like, let's say, optimizing your time, optimizing, outside of work, and I think the last interview I had was talking about, sitting back and relaxing because of the efficiencies of what AI has led us to do, in our businesses and life. I thought that was a really interesting point. I don't know. That really stuck with me. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I just, and we were talking earlier, but one of the things I think that we're learning from these interviews, and, just before I share, like, I have to just
Mhm.
applaud our amazing speakers that are going to be showing up next
Yeah.
week. We've got, Kate Bradley Chernus, who is amazing. I think Rachel and I were both fangirling over her a little bit,
Totally.
on our interview, but she's the CEO of Lately. And she just had a vision for, I think, some of the things that people worry about when it came to AI, like years ago when she developed her platform. And I had some candid conversations with Erica Selmrench, and Erica is the
Mm,
COO of Rasa.io. So we've had some like really great conversations with women that are, high level involved in terms of AI, as well as women, like probably many of the people watching this who are business owners, looking to use AI to help streamline things. We've gotten a lot of
mhm.
great insight. As you mentioned, Molly Mahoney. We met with Sway GD yesterday, who
Mhm.
was amazing and gave us some insight on the brain, and why it's so important for women to get involved. So, with all of that, I think one of the biggest things that's coming out of these conversations is recognizing that I believe we're having very different conversations in these interviews
Mhm.
because it is women talking to one another and women talking to women, right?
Mhm.
It's just interesting how that changes the dynamic, like you
Right.
said, and talking about things like, how does this impact our life? How does this, when we make things easier in our business, how does that make us better? Um, Moms, how does that make us better
Mhm.
wives? How does that just make us
Roles.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, because women typically, and not that men aren't busy, but women definitely, I think, carry the weight or feel like they have to carry the weight to spin all the plates.
Right. Yeah, and that was another commonality, another common thing we saw in interviews.
Mhm.
Um, it's just yeah, I don't know, it makes me I'm just in awe, honestly, of the speakers, and, like, just even us too, like, why not? I'm gonna pat myself in the back and pat you in the back, like, it's just we've done so much in such little time, and these women are so incredible, like, their stories, telling us, like, how they kind of got from point A to point B. Questions we did ask in the interviews, you'll kind of see this, people who are watching is, like, how'd you get into AI? And a lot of it kind of stemmed from just the need to have more efficient time. That just
Yeah.
was a big one. But it was on top of the fact that these women were moms, wives, they had multiple businesses. And it's just so eye opening what AI has really done for us.
Mhm.
And not necessarily us for women, but just everyone in general when it comes to, allowing us to have more time back. I don't know. I just, a fangirling over everybody, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so cool.
and one of the things too, I think that is so powerful about the Women Who AI Summit, right, is
Mhm.
just giving women a safe place to come together and to have candid
Mhm.
conversations. And we've been having very candid conversations that I think really capture just the dynamic of females, whether, we
Mhm.
talk about having sick kids at home. We've been talking about
Yep.
dogs barking in the background. You guys might hear my landscaper as he walks by the window in a minute, right? But like, it's just like real raw like conversations that are being had, and it's nice to, at least I'm enjoying being in a space where I don't
Mhm.
feel any pressure to act like everything's normal or act like I've got everything covered, and I think that's
Right.
kind of the raw conversation that's coming out of a lot of these interviews
Mhm.
is just being able to have that like open honesty of
Mhm.
we had one of our speakers talk about how they were, I think she said averted. She had a tech aversion,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, how many females can relate to that? How many
Mhm.
females are like, I'm worried about technology. I typically don't relate to things that are super techy.
Mhm.
And I shared with the feeling coming from the Gen AI conference, which was amazing, right? But
Mhm.
there was a lot of things that were shared on the speakers that I'm going to admit were like just above my current like expertise. Where I was
Right.
like, wow, like I don't even know how to wrap my brain around this conversation. And I felt intimidated to be able to raise my
Mhm.
hand or to even share, like, I don't really know what he was talking about. Like that is way above my pay grade at this point when it comes to AI.
Yeah.
And I think it can be intimidating for for women to ask those questions. Like I certainly feared being
Mhm.
judged. I certainly was like,
Yeah.
these men gonna be like, "Oh, she doesn't even know what's going on." Um, which I'm sure
I hear
many
you.
of them also did not know what was going on, but I was like, where's that safe place for us just to be like, "Hey, we spin a lot of plates, and where do I start? What is AI?" Edie Kirkman actually, when we did her interview, she really
Mhm.
broke it down, and like, I'm so
Mhm.
grateful for her. We actually had her slated on day 3, right? So for those of you that haven't registered for the summit yet, we have 3 days of focus. The first day, which is April 4th, is all about AI in life. So a lot of our interviews are centered around what is the life impact that people are seeing from AI? And then day 2, which is April 5th, is all about AI in business. So there's a lot of interviews around women who are using AI in their business, lots of great like practical strategies, tips for how to get started. How do you know what, tools your business needs? And then day 3 is the future of AI. And Rachel and I we were really strategic, right? Around like who we wanted to spotlight on the future of AI. So we took a lot of our powerhouses, a lot of our CEOs, female COOs, and really asked them, because they're like in it, right? They're like literally in the industry. What's coming? Like, what can we expect for the future? So, anyways, Edie Kirkman was one of our interviews. And she's actually amazing. She has an extensive background in technology, product development, AI usage, and she wanted to just break it down. Like her interview was like, what is AI? What does that actually mean? How do these machines learn? Like, what is machine learning? What are the different kinds of AI? And it was just so basic and foundational. She shared things that like I didn't even know, right? Like, and I think in this big rush for everyone to be part of the conversation,
right,
there's like some foundational information that's kind of like, okay, but like, how does it actually work, right?
right.
Which I feel like are those questions we don't want to ask if we're not in that safe space. Like, I certainly am not going to post on my Facebook page anytime soon. Okay, but wait, like, how does AI actually really work, right?
Right.
We're all pretending like we know, right? We're all pretending like totally like we've grasped that whole tech background behind it. But she went through it, and I was like, I need to put you first. Like I had you
Right, tell me
reserved
that.
for day 3, but I need to put you as like our very first interview for
Right.
all of the women who are like, I want to be part of the conversation. Maybe they're attracted to the fact that this is an all women summit so that they feel like they're in a safer space. We know we have a wide range of interviews that are speaking to everybody who is like, what is this AI thing? What exactly is Chat GPT? All the way to women who have been implementing it for years. But I was just like, thank you for just providing some foundational information, and not feeling the pressure to be like, well, I could talk about all of this stuff. To like not feel like she has to talk about all of the amazing things that I know she could have wowed us, right? And left us with our jaws on the floor with all of her knowledge. But she recognized the importance of like, let's just bring it back to basics for a second. And so I think that that's key. And I also think it kind of shows what can happen when you bring women together. I definitely think her like mom nurturing side kind of came through when she was like, let's just give some basic information, so that everybody is on the same page. And that's really what I've loved. Like that's the kind of dynamic I think that we've been able to kind of cultivate.
Yeah, I love it. I love when you say it takes me back to so many different things. But in this day and age, especially now, right, with like this gold rush of everyone just trying their hardest and their darndest to like understand and really grasp, what AI in its totality can do for us. And there's so many different avenues, by the way, I think AI, like there's so many. But specifically for like what we are, looking at, Jasper, ChatGPT, all these different tools, it's hard and it's almost impossible sometimes to, step back a little bit and just be like, oh yeah, let's go back to basics. Exactly what you said. Right. And instead of like grasping or trying to like grab straws for like the latest and greatest information, it's almost better to go backwards and kind of really understand the foundational aspects of like how this really started. And I love that. Like, and unfortunately wasn't, able to be a part of her speaking. Unfortunately, I'm like now like I'm so mad. PT drove me nuts yesterday. Anyway, but I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see it. And I've heard so many great things about her. And like we still have interviews coming up where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We have a couple more today and tomorrow. And I can't wait to see, the other ideas and just kind of different perspectives on where exactly we're going. But I think the word here that I'm looking for, that I was trying to figure out for a while, is like, it has a nurturing feeling, this community so far. And I think that's what a lot of communities I've been a part of in the past, not saying they're bad whatsoever, but there wasn't that nurturing quality. And I think that's like something that all women obviously cherish, that's just kind of naturally what we go towards. But I don't feel pressure to ask, or not pressure, but I don't feel weird asking questions about, what does this do? Like, I don't know. Like, and that's so, what is it, liberating? Yeah, it's liberating to have that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's why, I think that's why we're seeing a really wide range of summit participants. I think that through all of this content and just creating that, that nurturing community, if you will, that safe space, that this is a perfect place for women who are like, okay, I feel like I need to get on this Chat GPT conversation thing. I have a good friend who is like, I'm joining your summit because I know nothing about Chat GPT, but everybody is talking about it. And I'm a business owner and I feel like I'm missing out. And, and I think, and we had an off camera conversation with one of our speakers this morning who basically recognized okay, if you're not part of this conversation, you are missing out. Like, there's just so much that's coming. But this is a great place to start. This is a great place to just be among like-minded women who are like, I want to be a part of the conversation, or I want to find out if I need to be part of the conversation. Really recognizing, and like we were speaking on one of our interviews, like the female voice is going to be crucial.
Correct. Yeah. Bias.
In terms of like AI in the future, recognizing that when we're talking about machine learning and the information that is being given to these AI, tools, when we have males that are doing most of the creation, doing most of the programming, we have to recognize that, like, is there a female counterpart? Is there a female dynamic that then is missing, right? And Sway GD gave us some insight on the brain, like just women, female and males' brains are different. I mean, I still remember that book. What was it? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right?
Venus. Wow.
I know, it probably dates me, right? But that book came
Me too.
came around a long time ago. Like, we've always recognized that there's differences between males and females, right? But the thing is when females aren't sharing their voice, when they're not part of the conversation, when they're not experimenting, like there's so many things that potentially aren't going to happen because females aren't being part of the conversation.
And and like on that thought, I'm trying to remember who said this. Like, I think it was Sway, maybe. She was talking about how the woman's mind is automatically predispositioned to be more creative. Thus, having that factor of, let's say, pioneering innovation. I believe that was Sway. I don't know if you remember. But I love that. Yeah, and I love that because, one without the other is just not going to be, it's not going to be perfect, and obviously that's to be perfect. But, when it comes down to what everyone needs and wants, the female voice and the male voices are insanely important together. Right. And so like having women in the space who are, already predispositioned to be more creative, thus being more, innovative is going to just, I don't know. We need this. Like, it's simple. Like, I don't want to over-explain it. It's simple that we need to have a woman's voice when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, marketing, business, whatever you have it, we both need to have a good balance of both. And I love that. I wish there's a stat, and I wonder if anyone knows this stat. I wonder what the statistic is for women versus men using AI today. I mean, there's so many users, right? But I was just kind of curious about that yesterday. I believe after we talked to Sway. And I was like, oh, I wonder how many people, if that's even a stat that we can read up on. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is it's very imperative for every single woman to start, all women in the space, to get their hands dirty, so to speak, with ChatGPT and Jasper, all these different tools. And actually, I wanted to ask you, because I just was realizing that I don't think I've ever asked you, and I'm gonna be like I'll be your host and you can be a speaker for a second. But how did you get into AI? Like I was so curious about this the other day, like how you really started.
Well, it was really from the coming out of Conversion AI. It was a tool that, as Molly shared on her interview, it was a tool that she was introduced to. And I was working with her. I was coaching for her clients. And so she was like, Kelly, you have to see this. And we kind of got on that train, you know, very early on, started experimenting it with things like that. But like, I imagine am like the majority of the women out there in terms of like, obviously our speakers have amazing stories of how they got into AI, but like my story was like, I was clueless. I was like, what is this thing? How is it working? You know, I kind of just jumped in and started playing with it. I certainly had that feeling of like, you know, do I even know like what I'm doing? Like what, you know, what is actually happening? I really had to lean into like, how do I use this? And full transparency, I think I was using it like I would realize now I was just like scratching the surface of how I was using it. And I was like, okay, what task takes me forever? And it was writing blogs. Like writing blogs took me forever. And so I was using, I think it was Jarvis probably when we started using it, but I was using it to write blogs. And that was it, you know, and for anybody who's seen trainings, right, at the AI author, like I never thought I'd be teaching a class for UC Berkeley on using AI, but like, you know, I think that's where everybody kind of has to start. Like you just have to start fiddling around with it and seeing how it works. And, you know, and that's my story. I'm just like everybody else out there, like who was like, what is it? How is it actually working?
I feel like the tagline for the speaker summit should be like, just do it. Not like Nike, but like, go do it. You know what I mean? Like, just start. Because every single person we've asked, like, you know, how, like, what's your tips, you know, for starting up on, you know, an AI? It's like, just start, just try it. You're not going to break anything. Just go ahead and try it. I love that. And I don't know, like, and actually, who was it? I nerded out hardcore yesterday. One of the speakers mentioned Futurepedia, and it basically is a list outline, a single tool you could possibly think of that is ready. Like, say if you have a tool and you want to put on the website, you can like, you know, chat about it. But anyway, I was just like diving hard into like all these different tools that I thought I kind of have asked of, right? You know, I'm CGO. And I was fascinated. There's so many amazing tools and so many different apps, services, whatever you have it, right? That is just, you know, leading the way and pioneering. And actually, I was like, I kind of wanted to like ask her, you know, why can you guys have like a women-owned section? You know, something like that. I don't know, like there's so many cool things that are going on in this industry that are so new, right? That I don't know where I'm going with it, but I just think it's really cool. It's really nice to be a part of a community where we can each other to kind of learn more, you know, find new tools, you know, deep dive. Let's say someone becomes, you know, a head of best performance, you know, or like best practices, right? How to really optimize and use a tool, things like that. But I don't know where I was going with that. I'm just so excited to be here.
Yeah. So. You just gave me a really great idea, which I'm not going to share right now. I'm going to share it offline, but you're in trouble. I'm just going to say you're in trouble. You're about to be initiated into another task just from the idea that you just gave me. But, you know, we've even been talking about like using ChatGPT to help us meal plan, right? To figure out like what to cook for dinner. And when you're talking about the, you know, our creative side, like being innovative, like again, not that men don't cook dinner, but I'm pretty 100%. Sure my husband would never think to get on ChatGPT and be like, here are the 8 things I have in my fridge. Like, how do I feed my kids a healthy meal? Right. But then that's what I think we bring to the table. You know, that's the voice that is missing. Those are the uses that nobody is talking about because, I think not that there's an expectation, but I think everybody is obviously talking about it. Like, how do you use it in business? How do you use it in business? And I really think it's these conversations that we're having with other women, because we wear so many hats, because we try to do all the things, that women are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is what I just used it for. Right. And it's going to blow everybody's mind, because we're coming from a different thought, a different thought process. We're coming with different things that we want to accomplish. Yeah. And so that's been really cool. So, I really hope that anybody who is just curious, about AI, all the way to the people that are really involved in AI, will jump in on this summit. We've got over 15 amazing speakers. I'm getting a lot of questions around like, what time do I have to show up live? And because I think we are females who multitask, nobody has to show up live except for our VIP calls on Monday and Friday, but the sessions are going to drop, and they are micro content. They're all about 20, 25 minutes. We all wear the hats. We all spin the plates. You can watch them as they drop. You can Netflix style binge watch them at the end of the day. But I think it's a really just user friendly kind of structure that we have planned. And it's just such a wide range of expertise. It really, I think, encompasses all levels of women who want to use AI. And I'd love to know anybody who's watching this or catching the replay, like on a scale of like 1 to 5, 5 being like, I'm an AI OG user, to 1 being like, okay, I've seen something about ChatGPT and AI, but like maybe I need to learn more about it. Like, I'd love to hear what levels everybody is coming in at. Like, one of the interesting things that I spoke at we've got a 5. All right. We've got
awesome
users.
There's people here. Hi.
I
can't see the chat, so that's great. Popped up.
Yeah. And thank you for being a part of this. Like, we definitely, again, like, we want those, those people that have been using it for a while to come in and share their voice and support all the other women that are like, okay, I think I'm ready. Like, I think I'm ready to check this out a little bit. But, what I was recognizing is, I spoke at like it was called Meta Convening at my campus, California State University, Long Beach. And I came in to talk about AI in education. And so it was a bunch of educators who had raised their hand to say like, yes, I think I'm ready to be part of this AI world in education. How can it enhance my teaching? And what they did was they sent out a conference survey. And for all of you who have already registered for Women Who AI, you've also gotten a pre-conference survey that's giving us like lots of invaluable information. But I, as a panelist and as a speaker, I was given the breakdown of the knowledge level, right, from the survey. Same thing, 1 being like, okay, I've kind of heard something about it, all the way to 5. And most of the people involved were like 1s and 2s. This was a room full of people that were basically, like, I've heard about it and I think I want to learn more and be part of that conversation. And so I'm really recognizing that, while we're in this world of AI, I'm assuming the majority is that like 1 and 2 level. And so that was a big inspiration, I think, for us with the purpose of this summit, is just to like welcome women in that are like, okay, I'm a 1, but
all levels welcome.
Yeah. Because we all got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, even, I was using a different type, not different, that's a long story, but I was very much using, a different type of AI, different kind of type of machine learning skills, when it came to programmatic media buying, right? And coming into this new world, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was a little, not apprehensive is the word, but I was more of like, just like, I have so much in my mind already from like what I'm doing in my current job back when, to, I just didn't really know where to start, you know, with this particular type of AI and services and tools and things like that. So I don't know. It's just, what was it? I had a thought and I trailed off, but you know, one thing that I'm really excited about, by the way, for the summit is day one and the last day, where we have the opportunity to speak with speakers. You know, they're all good, not all of them. If they can make it, they can make it. But I wanted to let everybody know as well, who's watching the recording, that, you know, if you want to be able to network with these amazing women that we actually have mentioned, I don't believe all of them, like I said, will be on there, but we'll have a list of who's going to be making it. You'll have a chance to network and learn and talk candidly. And I think that's going to be invaluable because, you know, we keep talking about this community and this and that. And I know people don't know what that is yet just because we're starting next week, but it's going to be just an amazing, like full on one-to-one networking, like how we're doing, exchanging of ideas, exchanging of perspectives and thoughts and things of where we're going. You know, I think that's one thing I definitely just wanted y'all to know, is that that is coming up, and that's going to be such, I think, like invaluable, right? Like their perspectives are insane. I have, like, what I was trying to say earlier with my experience going from one to the other is that, you know, these women have so much more and incredible like insight into where actually it is going also, which I think is that something that we haven't really, you know, talked about yet. Maybe more so not in this community, but just in general. You know, we have talked about a little bit of where it's going to, when it comes to life and business and in the future, you know, that's things, or a few things we talk about. So
yeah. And we've got we just got our numbers. We have 438 women registered, which is amazing.
Yes.
Like I would love to hit 500. I think that would be
yes.
Fantastic. So if you haven't registered yet, you can register at womenwhoai.com. There is VIP upgrades available. I just checked out the giveaway list for the gifts for our VIP members, seeing things like blueprints, free tickets to summits, free trials to content creation clubs. And like, what a great way. It's literally like a starter kit, right? Of places for females
100%.
to start. So yeah. So I hope you guys will join us if you're not already registered. If you are registered, spread the word, you know, get all your girlfriends together. I feel like if there's anything we do really well, it's like getting the herd together, right? So, you know, share about the womenwhoai.com summit and share our link. And we're excited. We are excited for next week. We hope to see all of you there.
Yeah. And shout out to the AI author, Darby.
Yeah.
Beyonce, for letting us go live on this. There you are. I was wondering where you were.
All day, guys. Yeah, no, super excited about the summit. I mean, just hearing all the interviews you guys have had and some of the insights. I mean, it's going to be a really awesome experience. I have no doubt about that. So go ahead and make sure you guys go to womanwhoai.com. Go ahead and register. And if you're catching this after the summit's happened, you're going to be able to get the replays as well. It's going to be well worth it. Dive on in. Let's learn how to support each other with AI. And thank you to Kelly and Rachel for being rock stars and putting this on. Thanks, y'all.